Hello. Sorry I'm a little later than I was supposed to be. I laid down to take a nap and didn't quite fully wake up until just now. But today I am finishing up the Tatzelwurm, which we started last week. Um, yeah, I don't think I had the transitions last week. I added new transitions, which you probably just saw. I added the little remote control switch. That is a animation I worked on last week. Or, well, was it last week? No, it was the beginning of this week. I worked on it at the beginning of this week. It took me a while because it's a hand-drawn animation that I did bit by bit. But I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks cool with the TV screen kind of style. Anyway, we're going to be finishing up our little Tatzelwurm today. And I was disappointed because my intent had been to find some accounts of Tatzelwurm sightings and to read over those. Unfortunately, most of the ones that I was looking up, I couldn't actually read the accounts because most of the books that they were part of, I couldn't find a public domain version of. And they give you previews of the books and such, but the previews did not include the sections that I needed. So I was reading through some of them. So I wasn't able to find like a whole bunch of sources for sightings and such of the Tatzelwurm. So I'm a little disappointed that I wasn't able to do that. However, I did look over the ones I'd kind of glossed over last week, and I find it interesting that a lot of the pages that I saw were listing the I believe it was 1779 sighting by Hans. I think his last name is Fuchs, but I'm not sure how to say it. They were listing that as the first sighting, but the wiki page mentions that there's, sightings of Tatzelwurms and similar creatures much earlier in the 1600s. So, not so sure about that. But yeah, let's see, 1779. Yeah, so the 1779 encounter seems to be the major one that most people cite, but there's quite a few cat-headed, dragon-like creatures that occur in mythology prior to that. And in that particular account, that is the one where a farmer was out and spotted two creatures, which he claimed were 5 to 7 feet in length. They were cat-headed and had two front paws, like we've done here. And he was so horrified he ran home, managed to give a full description of the event to his family, and then died of a heart attack. So that's probably the most popular one. And everyone likes to list that as the first sighting. But like I said, there's quite a few sightings that seem to predate that. I think perhaps the terminology may not have existed prior to that. And that might be why some people were saying that that was the first official sighting, but there were other cat-headed creatures in the area that were mentioned in lore prior to that. And what I also was looking for was color descriptions, since we're doing the painting today. I was trying to find accurate or more detailed descriptions of color, but the only colors I could find were brown, white, and black. So we're going to be focusing on those color tones because that's all I really have to go on. And what I did see interesting as well was one of the more recent mentions of it. I believe it was in the 1900s. They were trying to explain Tatzelwurm sightings and supposed, lore, and they suggested that it could be misidentified otters. Now, with the 5 to 7 foot one, that doesn't really explain it. But some of the other stories and accounts of the Tatzelwurm mention a much smaller creature, closer to like 2 foot in length, a bit chunky, or, you know, very small stubby legs, cat-like head. Some even have fur. And the more you look at that description, I'm like, otter does kind of fit. So that's not too far-fetched to think some of the smaller ones may have been misidentified otters. And that also kind of fits the color scheme of like the browns and grays and blacks, because they tend to have fur varying in those pigments. So I think that might actually be a fairly logical explanation for some of them. So I thought that was kind of cool. That definitely seemed plausible, at least to me. Oh, I was so sleepy. I was really tired, and I was like, I'm just gonna take a nap before I do this video. And then I actually woke up in time, but my brain wasn't on. So I just kind of laid there and I kept looking, and I'm like, I need to get up. So I am not fully awake yet. But yeah, the only factor they all seem to share in common is the cat-headed part. Everything else is variable, the number of legs. The cat-headed and the serpent attributes. You know, number of legs is variable, the size and length is variable, the color is variable. The one sightings, let's see, which mentioned farmers sighting Tatzelwurms all the time. That was the one where they talked about it, you know, suckling on cows and drinking the milk of the cows that were in the fields. That one mentioned them being a lot smaller, and it also mentioned the whole idea of there being 2 main colors or 2 main varieties, being black and white. And the white one they mentioned having a crown or like a crest. So that was another description. I think the thumbnail that I used, that one came up from a specific sighting as well. That one specifically mentions it having 4 legs and having a ridge or crest as well. So that's why I did this little head thing I did here in the center. So yeah, I'm kind of, I don't have a whole lot of plans of where I'm going to go with this coloration, but I'm just going to try to do variations of brown, gray, and black, because that seems to be the only real guidelines that I could follow. And of course we had the mixed information about whether or not it was furry or whether or not it was scaly, and that kind of leads to the smaller ones also being furry in some of the sightings. Really does lend credence to the idea of them being otters. And I was looking up the range of otters in that area, because I honestly don't know much about the fauna in Central Europe. And they do overlap kind of the edges of the alpine region. It depends on the variety. So it's very possible, I'm assuming, and it probably depends on what type of otter we're talking about. But if it's honestly a little bit rare, it might even lend more credence to it, because I know where I live, there's always people going, you know, oh, there's no, I think it was porcupines. It's porcupines. They kept saying that there's none of this, you know, certain wild animals don't exist here. And yet I've seen, well, I've known multiple people who've spotted them. So, you know, animals don't exactly follow our arbitrary migration and distribution patterns that we write for books. They're just general rules. So that would make it possible, but not as common, if it was like the otter explanation. But I think there was a specific type of otter that did live in the region more commonly. I am not super up on the varieties of otters. But yeah, the more I kept thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, the cat-like head really does sound kind of like an otter. And they are low to the ground. They do kind of walk funny as well. Yeah. And then one of the other ones I did run across mentioned that there had been a much more recent sighting of the Tatzelwurm, and it was a modern one, but it was quickly dismissed because it turned out to just be somebody's pet monitor lizard that had run away. Where did my gray paint go? Oh, there it is. Can't get the gray paint open. I don't know why. Sometimes these little paint things do not want to come open. Alright, so I'm going to do some gray, I think, as we approach the scaling sections here. There we go. But yeah, I was disappointed because every time I pulled up, like, a lot of times what I'll do if you're looking for accounts of things is you go to Wikipedia, then you look at their references, you click on those references, and then you try to find those books and stuff elsewhere. That's what I was doing. Unfortunately, every time I found one, it was non-public domain versions of books. So I couldn't find an account that I could read, and then the previews never had the pages I wanted. But it is very helpful if that's if you're looking for sources. I know that's how I found the Louis Coloma story, because that one was on Project Gutenberg, which was cool. Project Gutenberg's a great place for a lot of older books because it's just public domain. And Public Archive, too, is another place you can find a lot of public domain media. Very helpful. Very helpful websites. Yeah, I'm going to make the scaly parts. I think... I'm trying to figure out how to work the darker black tone into here as well, because I want to do that. I could paint the scales a blackish color. But yeah, everything I was reading was just earth type tones in monochrome, so I'm going to try to do some variation of this. I don't really have a plan in mind, which is probably bad. I should have probably thought through a bit more what I was going to do before I started. But I trust the process, so it'll get there eventually. Also, if you're watching this, please go, I keep reposting it. I might repost it one more time to see if I can get people to see it. I'm going to do some SCPs, and I would love to be suggested people's favorites. TikTok, I did get a few suggestions already, but YouTube, for some reason, is burying the video, so I may post a poll if I get some good ones and see which ones people want me to do. But, it would be very helpful to comment on the SCP one if you have a favorite SCP I should try to sculpt. I think someone suggested that I do part of the Hanged King's Tragedy play, because there's some fan art of that. So hopefully, because I really want to do some more SCPs next week. But yes, if you do see this video, please go look at the little TikTok, or not TikTok short, the YouTube short, or the TikTok one, and comment your favorite SCP, so I will start making a list of ones that I need to do in the future. Alright. How am I going to do this shoulder? So yeah, we'll see. Let's see where this is going. Alright. I think the other suggested thing, which I had mentioned last time, is that a lot of them people said might be misidentified lizards, which lizards can very much vary in size. So I was looking at what types of lizards live in the area. Couldn't find an all-encompassing type of list there. But there are some decent sized lizards, so I mean, I don't think any of them were 5 to 7 feet in size to account for that, but like I said, a lot of the accounts had much smaller creatures mentioned who were only like a few feet in length or like 2 feet in length. And that's a much more reasonable size frame that you would expect for like a snake or a lizard. Alright. I'm gonna give it a black nose, I think. I like that. If I can make the scales black, we'll see how that goes. Kind of fade it into here a little bit. And then I think I have kind of a metallic shiny color too that's almost like a gunmetal color that I could probably go over this with that'll look nice. Because we're going more the gray-black kind of route. Although we did give it the little crest on the top, so technically I think that was the white one. At least according to one account. You can kind of see where we're going with the face right now. The eyes are a little hazed over because of the paint, but that's fine. I'll be fine in a second when I clear that off. Alright. I was also thinking about trying to incorporate a little bit of a tabby pattern, but I'm not sure how that would look. So we'll see how it goes here. Okay. Adding very light layers of paint tends to be a nice effect for stuff like this instead of, you know, doing it very heavily. That's why I do a lot of dry brushing. Sometimes it looks better to be a little more heavy-handed. It just depends on what you're doing. Like when I go through and do the individual scales, I think we might do that a little bit more heavy-handed than this. But for now, we're just kind of highlighting the area. Now, the farmer's account said that the black ones were more common. So, I guess we're technically doing that. Sort of. Okay. Go. Alright. I'm honestly not sure how to paint the ears. That's why I'm kind of avoiding this, because I don't really know what I want to do with that. And in retrospect, I should probably have added the claws to the paws, because I think the emphasis was on claws more than paws, but I kind of like the paws, so it'll be fine. Okay. Oh, there's a spot I need to touch up with brown real quick. Okay. I want to fade the gray out a bit. Why did I close this? There we go. Dang it. I want to fade the gray out a little bit better to the brown, because it's a little too, it's a little too stark a contrast here. There we go. Also, I want to pick up more of the texture. Oops, that was too much paint. Fade that a bit. Okay. I think I want to do darken like the seams here between the body and the legs just a little bit. And the ears on the back of the head. What do I want to do with these ears? I don't know. And I could paint them black and then highlight in grays. That might work. Here we go. Yeah, we'll see where this takes us. I may not like it. I may paint over it, but I didn't have a whole lot of guidelines for the coloration on this, so. There we go. Hello. Yeah, he's pretty little. I kind of made him cute. I tend to make things cuter rather than scary. Which is ironic, because the first sighting of this guy, apparently he scared someone so terribly, he the guy had a heart attack. But yeah, my versions tend to be cute. He is definitely just a little guy. I'll clean the eyes up a little bit. There we go. That looks a little better. All right, I think I'm gonna do... Where is my dark metallic color? I think it's this one. Oh wait, no, there it is. It's this one. For some reason, the metallic paints always separate. I like kitsunes too. I haven't done a kitsune yet. I could do that soon. That'd be fun. They're the many-tailed foxes, right? Oh yeah, I see your name's Litsune Kitsune. That's a cool name. Yeah. I might have to do silver instead of this color. It might be a little too dark. Yeah, it's shiny, but it's not. Yeah, I think I'll start with the darker color and then do a light silver on top. That might look good. There we go. Ooh, Ninetales from Pokemon. I'm not super familiar with Pokemon. I know a couple of them. But yeah, that's right. Some of them do have Ninetales. I knew it from, I think it's Majora's Mask. The Kitsune shows up. Oh, you're fine. But I've seen kitsunes in a couple video games, and I like reading about Japanese lore. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've seen the Pokemon one. Now comes the very tedious part where I paint each scale. Yeah, autocorrect is autocorrect drives me insane. Especially when you try to learn multiple languages and then it starts correcting you in 3 different languages incorrectly. It's a mess. Thankfully, people usually know what everybody's trying to say. Yeah, yeah. The amount of times I've also found Google search keeps correcting me all the time when I'm looking up stuff like this. And it's trying to tell me that I'm searching. I'm trying to think of what it was. It kept telling me I was trying to search the Tatzelwurm, and it kept trying to tell me I was searching something else. And it kept auto-changing it, and I had to keep backspacing and being like, no, that's not what I typed. It feels almost like a really annoying, it's like having a really annoying person constantly finishing your sentences, and you're like, no, that's not what I said. I wasn't gonna say that. But yeah, when you search obscure mythological stuff, it does that to you all the time, and it's so annoying. And then it'll pop up the little, did you mean to search this? I'm like, no, I didn't mean to search that. I meant to search what I typed. Oh, so I'm curious, how did you see the video today? Because I don't usually get too many people coming through, and I'm trying to figure out how to promote my videos some more. Did you see notification, or did it just like pop up on the suggested feed? Hey, it's shiny now. There we go. Yeah, I think I will touch each of these up with a light silver dot in the middle because I think that'll add depth to it. Okay, cool, cool. I know I subscribe to a bunch of people on YouTube and it never sends me notifications. I only do this on Fridays, so but yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do this more often because I love making sculptures. Usually people just watch the finished videos rather than the live ones, which is fine. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to understand the algorithms that are always confusing. But yeah, I think YouTube is notorious for not doing the notification thing. I think you have to manually turn it on or something because I know there's a bunch of people I follow and I never see their stuff unless I go hunting for it. Yeah, I like this effect. I think that's looking cool. All right. I know, it's so confusing. I did, however, learn the beauty of deleting and reposting because there was a video I worked 7 hours on like one of my cherubim sculptures, and it took me like, gosh, I think it was 7 or 8 hours, and it literally got 45 views on the short video. So then I think I reposted. I do post on TikTok. I was doing really, really well until a whole bunch of stuff happened with the TikTok stuff in America. And then it kind of killed my algorithm, and I haven't recovered from that yet. But I usually post the shorts there. I was trying to stream on TikTok as well, but it kept crashing on me, so I wasn't able to do that. But yeah, I do post the finished video edits on TikTok usually. And it depends on what it is. Sometimes it does well, sometimes it doesn't. I have a tough time figuring out how to work the system. I don't quite understand it. But deleting and reposting has really helped, weirdly enough. There we go. All right. I got the first coat on the scales there. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't post for a while, I know a lot of the places I'm seeing that if I post consistently, it helps a lot. So I'm trying to figure out ways to span my videos out into multiple posts and multiple videos, which I hate doing to people because I hate having only part of a video on something, but it does help the algorithm. Here we go. little bit more shininess here. Still don't, whoops, drop my paintbrush. Still don't know what I want to do with the ears. I guess I could try the gray. Yeah, that doesn't look bad. I think I'll go with that. I also post on Instagram too, but that doesn't, that never seems to work very well for me. I know. I hate doing multi-part videos. I hate them. They work, but I hate them so much. And I feel so bad whenever I do that. I'm trying to find an excuse to do that, so I think I might do some interactive videos where I let people give me feedback on what to make. That way I don't feel so bad about doing it in parts. Okay, I will gladly do a kitsune. I think that would be a lot of fun. I haven't read too, I know a little bit about kitsune lore, but not a ton. But I will gladly do that because I know I wanted to do some more mythology ones and then I wanted to do another SCP. So I will either do that as my next or second to next one because kitsunes are cool. I agree. Oh, let me do gray on the paws. That'll probably look cute. Kind of like a cat's paws that gets later at the end. But yeah, kitsune would be a lot of fun. I definitely will do that in the near future. Yeah, I was trying to make a cat-like because the Tatzelwurm's basically a cat snake. So that's literally the description. It's just cat-headed snake with a varying number of legs. So that was the attempt to make it a weird mix of a cat snake. Although it did make me laugh when I posted it on I think YouTube and TikTok. I think it was probably the same person kept saying, "That's just a Sphinx cat." Because the clay I use is peach colored until I start painting it. I'm like, it won't look like that when I finish it. I have started posting in between videos, but it's always awkward. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm just I think I should do silver. Where's my silver? There's my silver. On each of the scales. Ugh. Every time I do scales, I hate myself because then I have to sit here and paint each one. Yes, I posted him naked, yes. But yeah, the cheapest clay is just a weird peachy color that's not quite my skin tone that close. I almost did the swank instead of this one, and that little thing looks like a naked mole rat, so I almost did that instead, which would have been even worse. just add a little bit of highlighting to each scale. There we go. Say scales and feathers are the two things. They're so tedious. Like I have a love-hate relationship with them because they look cool, but they require so much patience. Oh, I really like cosplay armor too. I've dabbled a little bit in it, but I've never really done actual cosplay stuff because I follow accounts and I'm like, this stuff is so awesome. Thankfully, polymer clay is really easy to get into because it's a little pricey, but not too bad if you're doing smaller stuff. But it's oven bake, so you really don't need anything other than the cheapest acrylic paints you can get and some clay. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I get into so many types of art because I do a little bit of everything. I do painting. I do um, basically everything. I really like dabbling in different medias, but sculpting's kind of my forte. But yeah, I've seen some awesome cosplay pieces. Especially the swords. I always wanted to make like a replica of Link's sword, the Master Sword, because I'm a nerd. I really want to make a replica of that and have it on my wall. I could just buy one, I suppose, but it'd be more fun to make it. And then I wouldn't feel guilty about spending money, because I'd be spending less money, hopefully. Yeah. It takes time. I think I've been doing clay stuff since I was like itty bitty, because we used to have, my favorite thing to play with was Play-Doh. Love doing stuff with Play-Doh. And then we moved on to like the cheap Sculpey clays from there. So I've had a lot of practice because I've been doing this since I was like 7, 6, something like that. And I started making characters when I was around 10. I'm actually looking at potentially finding some of the characters I made when I was a teenager and redoing those because I think it'd be fun to see, skill level changes. But I've had a lot of practice. Even in the past like 2 years, I think I've really improved my skills compared to what I was not too long ago. So it takes time. I've thought if I knew like a popular enough creature, it might even be fun for me to do like a tutorial type video. Oh yeah, the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy. That's really cool. I've seen that. I know a little bit about Final Fantasy. I never had the game systems they were on, so I only know a little bit. But I've seen the swords and they're really cool in some of the cosplays. The Buster Sword's like the big like square one that's giant, right? I think that's the Buster Sword. I could be wrong. Yeah, I think a lot of people's cosplay. Okay, yeah, it's the big one. I thought it was. I think a lot of people's cosplays are held together with just hope. I've done a couple little things before for like Renaissance fairs. And at one point, I think I super glued fake armor to a cloth tunic. I was so worried that that was going to pop off, but it didn't. It stayed on the whole time. But the whole day I was like, I hope my shoulder pads don't come off. But yeah, hot glue it holds up more than I thought it would. And then I've seen all the people who are really sweet who like go around with the cosplay repair kits and stuff. I always thought I love watching their little clips because they carry like all the glue and not nail guns, staples and all sorts of stuff to help people out when their stuff breaks. There we go. I think that's good for the scales. They're very shiny now. Yes. All right. Put these in water so I don't destroy my paintbrushes. All right. Let's see. I may use some gold on the chest because I think it needs more color. Metallic paints always unmix themselves for some reason. I don't know why. There we go. There we go. Add some more color to that. That looks a little better now. I could. Hold on. Add more details up here. I really love metallic paints on this. I think they add so much depth to it just because they're ever so slightly iridescent. Yeah. It's amazing what you can do with hot glue. It's very impressive. It seems like it would just fall to pieces, but I was very impressed by how long mine lasted. Duct tape, yes. Duct tape is... I mean, I'm a redneck, so duct tape is the gold standard for fixing things, although I'm slightly more partial to super glue. There. Let me see. I could do... I need to do more white on the fangs. Yeah, I think where I come from in Appalachia, it's always duct tape and WD-40. I think that everybody fixes everything. I call myself a civilized redneck because I use super glue. But duct tape is amazing. I don't think we even really use it that often for duct work, which is what it was made for. We just use it to put everything together. There we go, that's a little better. I'm from West Virginia as well. Yeah, I am also an incurable DIYer, so. But that's mostly because I think a lot of us don't have a lot of money. So it's like if you want it fixed, you just gotta do it yourself. At least that's my mentality. But it's good because then even with art stuff, I think I kind of learned that if I spent enough time, I may not be the best at something, but I can learn how to do it. Whether it's repairs or something like this that's more artistic. Let me think. Do some more black on the paws. All right, I'm not happy with the body yet. I need to go over it with the gray. That's true. Cardboard is pretty versatile. I mostly use it to make little castles for all my cats. Um, but I've also done, I used to do like large miniature sets, and I used to make little post and beam houses out of cardboard and popsicles. And that really worked surprisingly well, particularly cardboard from like cereal boxes and stuff. You can make some really cool miniature diorama kind of stuff with that. And it's extremely available and cheap. I would just never throw away my cardboard boxes and I would just stack them until I used them all. Well, that's really awesome. I mean, if you paint it correctly, you can do some pretty awesome stuff with cardboard. I know the little houses I did, you couldn't really tell. And I used to use old cardboard and poster board when I didn't have money to make canvases to paint on and stuff. Like it is really versatile. If you're creative, you can use almost anything. There's an old YouTube channel. I think it's called the Kemlumpian or something. He used to make all sorts of miniatures out of random household items, and I loved following his stuff because it was like random. It was just really random household items that were cheap that you probably had, instead of all the super pricey, expensive miniature artwork stuff. And half the time, it ended up looking just as good. Thank you. Yeah, I like the metallic paint. I think it looks awesome. Especially I added a little gold around the eyes. I can hold them right ways. There we go. I wasn't going to do that initially, but I like the gold at the top of the eyes. Eva foam. I'm trying to think. I know I tend to use like I know the thicker boards of foam are what I use for like bases for like miniatures. EVA foam. I'm trying to think if there's a thinner version of EVA foam. I don't know why I called it Eva foam. I know it's EVA. I'm not quite awake. Um, but I do know like I've had I buy like the giant they're actually insulation foam boards, but if you get the cheap ones, they're like maybe $8 for a 4x8 gigantic sheet of foam. Doesn't work as much for like armor, but works great for thicker pieces like shields or bases for miniatures and stuff. I did an entire 4x8 miniature fantasy train set a long time ago, and I used that construction foam board as like a base. Oh yeah, I guess there are thinner rules of the foam, aren't there? I didn't know. I'm trying to think. There's a couple different types for different applications. I've seen them. The pieces of armor that I did, I ended up 3D printing, but it was a resin printer, so I couldn't do very big pieces. It was very limited. So, but yeah, I want to try making some armor too. That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. Say most of the artwork I've tended toward has been stuff that I could do fairly cheaply, with few exceptions. I was doing stuff like this, but cast as like silicone. But the silicone stuff was so pricey that I was like, if people aren't gonna, buy stuff, I couldn't do it. That's really cool. That'd be very cool, especially, do you have like a color scheme picked out that you're doing for your night cosplay or something specific, or do you not know yet? Athena Grimes. I'm trying to, I've heard the name. Um, Let me look it up real quick. Okay, yeah. I've seen her before. Mm. Red and black is, I mean, if you can't tell from my overlay, red and black is my favorite colors. It does. It looks really cool. Yeah, I have played Persona 5, so I am very fond of Persona 5. Red and black is always a good option. I painted my whole living room red and black. People said I was crazy, but it looks awesome, and I don't regret it. It's a shame that so many of the villains in stories are also red and black, because it's such a nice color scheme. All right, just gonna go over this with a light white color to bring out the texture that I had made last time. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. There we go. Yeah, I just did this one, this new overlay. I did it week before last, and then I just did the new transition, which I'll show you the transition because I don't think you saw. I think you weren't here yet. But I hand frame by frame animated this transition. I was so happy with it. It took me a really long time. I'm still working on an old fashioned kind of TV, um, what's the word? Intermission screen. I was working on that last night, but I didn't finish it, so I couldn't add it. Plus, I wasn't planning on leaving today and needing it, but yeah, I did. I toy around with digital art. I'm not great at it, but I do really like doing animations too. They just take frickin' forever. And my art tablet kept dying on me while I was working on it. But I see all these streamers who have awesome animations. I'm like, I want one of those, but I don't have money, so I have to learn how to do it myself. There we go. Hmm. But yeah, I was super happy with the little remote click. I've got a couple more things I want to add just to make it look cool. I actually thought about doing a side channel because I have stories. I like to tell stories and stuff. And I like to write poetry. And I was always like, I want to do little stories that I can animate. But I'll be honest, that single, like just the little hand popping out and clicking, that took me 3 hours, I think, to do. So I thought about doing a little side channel where I do animations, but so far I've just done little animations for this, like my little walking screen at the end is one that I've done. I've thought about animating some other streamers' clips that I really like, but I don't know. It's very time consuming. I kind of need to get better equipment so that I can do it more effectively because my art tablet keeps trying to die on me. Animation's hard. I want to learn how to do it better. I really do. Um, because like I can do it okay, but I see the artists who are amazing and I'm like, I'm not nearly as good as them. But yeah, all my stuff, all the artwork on my channel is mine, all the thumbnails and stuff. Some of them look good, some don't. Alright. I know, I've seen some people who were animating stuff with just their fingers, and I was like, how in the world did you do that? I am not that skilled. I sat for 3 hours animating a hand. But I love a lot of the older I like the anime style of art, but I like the older Disney animation like motion style. So I've been trying to find the old like Don Bluth animation reference pages and stuff that kind of help me understand how to do it a little better. But yeah, people are amazing. I've seen some animation clips that are just incredible. I love The Secretive Nim. Yep. Um, I really love his animation style quite a bit. Whenever I want to practice cartoons, I usually will find his characters and then I'll sit down and try to draw them by hand so I can understand the style a little better as a practice thing. But I do really love his style. And I'm so happy every time I'm on the internet, I keep finding more and more people who really like Don Bluth and older animations. Because I've been going back and watching a lot of them, because some of them were a little bit before my time, some weren't. Um, but I know, and I love the walking and just motion animation that they do. It's so smooth and neat. So I've been finding there are old reference pages that you can find that are, some of them are available online. You can find them where they'll have like the reference sheet for each type of motion, like the running animation. They'll have like 10 frames or something. So I've been trying to find some of those to learn how to animate. All right, let me see here. What do we need to do? I did see a post about Disney bringing back some of the old 2D animations. I'm assuming from like pressure of people really wanting to see that again. Um, it's kind of like when I looked up and I realized Don Bluth is still alive, and I think he actually teaches animation somewhere, but it's expensive. But yeah, I saw that they were doing that, and I'm very eager to see what they come up with, because there's just something very beautiful about that style. I think Studio Ghibli's another one that does beautiful hand-drawn type animations. So yeah, I wanna learn how to do it better, but it is very time consuming. But yeah, I've watched some of the old there's old clips where they show you how they used to do the frame by frame, like the clear transparent backwards painting for each character frame that they would lay over the old painted backgrounds, and then they would film up from like top down. It was really cool to watch. Of course, we have it easier with the digital world. We don't have to do quite at that much, but it's a similar thing regardless. But yes, I'm very eager to see what they come up with, because it looks, hopefully it'll be cool. Yeah, Castle in the Sky was really pretty. I've been working my way through different films that they've done, and that one's definitely very beautiful. I want to do some Ghibli themed sculptures soon too, because I really love the cat bus. And I want to do a couple of those. But make his nose shiny. Here we go. All right. I should paint the underside here. Yeah, I've been working through, I think Studio Ghibli, I've been watching a whole bunch of theirs that I missed or haven't seen at least. And then I've been working through old Don Bluth animations and some lesser known cartoons. Uh, just because I love seeing the different styles. Oh, that's true. Bambi does use watercolor in the background. It is interesting to see how they always have like a more traditional artist paint all the backgrounds. And then they have a team of artists do all the characters over top. It's been so long since I've seen Bambi. I think I always really loved The Hunchback of Notre Dame. That was my favorite Disney one. And then as a kid, I really loved Anastasia, which I think is actually Fox. But yeah, I haven't seen Bambi in so long. But we had all the old Disney VHS tapes. Yeah, I have a rule about that, because like I will do that, but for me it has to be my second viewing of the movie. The first viewing of the movie, I'm the person going, shh, quiet. And then after that, I will totally give all of the unimportant facts and ramble about it because I'm so excited. So I totally understand. But I always make sure, like, the first time somebody watches something, I'll be really quiet. And then after that, I can ramble as much as I want. But I get it, because just like you get so excited about it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the notorious too, because I love Lord of the Rings, and I'm the notorious. Did you know Viggo Mortensen broke his toe when he kicked that thing? And it's like, okay, nobody really cared, but I really just wanted to say it. Yeah. I used to have family members who would watch movies and they would walk away every 10 minutes and then they would come back and be like, I don't understand what's happening. And I'm like, well, you left when something important happened. Well, what did you expect? Yes, he broke his toe. It's very important that everybody knows that. I don't know why, but my brain tells me that I have to tell everyone. All right. Almost done. I think I'll do a little bit more white. Okay. Yep, yep. I had an aunt who would just do that all the time, except she would just walk away and then come back and be like, why can't I understand the movie? And it's like, you left for like 10 minutes. Something really important happened. You didn't see it. And then you have to pause and be like, okay, do you want me to explain? And they're like, nah. All right. All right. All right. I think this little guy's done. You can see the texture. See if I can get the camera to focus on the texture. Here we go. I recently got texture rollers and I love the effect that they give. All right. Our little Tatzelwurm is finished. Yeah, I see. I'm an old movie fan as well. I love old radio shows too. Um, I've been watching a lot. Plus, they're all public domain and free, so I've been watching a ton of stuff. I'm really fond of like Alfred Hitchcock. So, but yes, you really do have to pay attention with so much dialogue, or you miss important stuff. Yeah, I do too. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, but I like having the gold patch on top. I had a lot of artistic freedom with this one because there really wasn't a whole lot of description on the color other than they come in gray, white, and brown. So or black, white, and brown. So I kind of went the grayish black direction. But yeah, these little teeths. I haven't seen, ironically, those are the two I've not seen yet. I've seen Alfred Hitchcock's uh, Rebecca is one of my favorites, and Rear Window I've seen because I really love Jimmy Stewart. Um, but yeah, The Birds is one I'm gonna watch soon. I need to watch that one, and I haven't seen Psycho yet either. But I love the old Hitchcock Presents and stuff. I wish I could do a sculpture kind of as a tribute to, yes, his old toofs. I want to do sculptures as a tribute to some of the older movies I love, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I don't know, but I want to do some sort of art pieces that will relate to that because I really love old movies. Okay. I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. It's rare that I get somebody chatting with me, and it always makes it so much more fun. I think this took me about an hour and a half to do this one. That's not too bad. I could, yeah. I might also want to try my hand at some stylistic type people. People are kind of the bane of my existence, though, for sculpting. But, but yeah, something inspired by. I might have to. I'm still debating. It's an idea that's formulating in my head. I'll get there eventually. All right. Well, I'm gonna finish up for tonight, but like I said, I really appreciate hanging out and chatting with me. That's awesome. It's rare that I get someone hanging out, so I do really appreciate that. It made it a lot more fun. And I will definitely do a kitsune soon. Um, Probably either the next sculpture or the one after, probably. I gotta see what I have and read up on some stuff, but we'll definitely do a kitsune. That should be fun. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.